Most people think winning means speaking louder. They are wrong. The loudest person in the room is not always the strongest. Often, the loudest person is the most afraid. Afraid of being unseen. Afraid of losing control. Afraid that if they stop talking, the truth will stand up without them. But there is another kind of power. It does not shout. It does not explain. It does not beg to be understood. It does not chase the crowd, fight every insult, answer every accusation, or prove itself to people who have already decided not to see. This power is silence. Not the silence of weakness, not the silence of fear, not the silence of someone who has no words. The silence of a trained mind, the silence of a mountain during a storm, the silence of a warrior who knows that not every battle deserves his sword. You may be tired because you have spent too many years explaining your heart to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. You may be exhausted because you kept opening the sacred gate of your inner temple to those who entered only to disturb the altar. You may be drained because every conversation became a battlefield, and every small disrespect pulled your attention away from the life you were trying to build. Listen carefully. Your attention is your life energy. Where your attention goes, your spirit follows. Where your spirit follows, your future is shaped. If someone can make you react whenever they choose, they do not need chains to control you. Your reaction becomes the rope. Your need to explain becomes the prison. Your desire to be approved by people who cannot recognize value becomes the cage. A weak mind obeys every emotion. A trained mind watches emotion rise, breathe, and pass. A weak mind runs toward every argument. A trained mind asks, "Is this worth my peace?" A weak mind needs to be seen winning. A trained mind knows that many victories are invisible. If you listen until the end, you will understand how silent people win battles without saying a word. Not because they are cold, not because they are passive, not because they do not feel pain, but because they have learned to protect their attention, guard their energy, raise their standards, and return to themselves. This is not about becoming quiet so others can walk over you. This is about becoming so disciplined that no one can pull you out of your center. The first battle silent people win is the battle against reaction. When someone provokes you, they are not always seeking truth. Many times, they are seeking access. Access to your nervous system, access to your attention, access to your anger, access to the fire you should be using to build your own life. They throw one sentence. They watch your face. They wait for your breath to change. They hope you will forget yourself. And if you react immediately, you give them what they came for. Stop giving your fire to those who only want to watch something burn. A trained mind does not obey every spark. It does not turn every insult into a war. It does not waste the river trying to put out every little flame on the roadside. It knows the difference between a threat and noise. It knows the difference between correction and manipulation. It knows the difference between a conversation that builds and a conversation that feeds on your life. When you are silent in the face of provocation, you are not losing. You are observing. You are measuring. You are choosing. This is the discipline of the inner warrior. The storm wants movement. The mountain gives stillness. The storm wants to prove it has power. The mountain does not argue. It simply remains. You do not need to answer every comment. You do not need to defend every choice. You do not need to explain your healing to people who benefited from your wounds. You do not need to justify your boundaries to those who cross them. Stop mistaking reaction for strength. Real strength begins in the small gap between what they say and what you do next. In that gap, your future is decided. In that gap, you either become a servant of your emotions or a master of your inner kingdom. The action is simple. When someone tries to pull you into anger, take one breath before you answer. One breath. Feel your feet. Relax your jaw, lower your shoulders, let the first wave pass. Do not speak from the wound. Do not speak from the heat. Do not speak from the old version of you that needed to prove pain was real. One breath can save your dignity. One pause can protect your power. One silence can end a battle before it begins. The second battle silent people win is the battle against over-explaining. Many people think if they explain clearly enough, the other person will finally understand. So they explain again. They soften their words. They give examples. They open their history. They reveal their wounds. They speak from the deepest rooms of the heart. And still, the other person twists it. Why? Because some people are not confused. They are committed. Committed to misunderstanding you. Committed to seeing you as the problem. Committed to using your explanation as more material for control. You cannot teach someone to respect you by giving them unlimited access to your inner world. This is a painful truth. But it is a freeing truth. Stop explaining yourself to people who have already decided your silence is guilt, your boundaries are cruelty, your growth is arrogance, and your peace is rejection. You do not owe your soul to those who only want evidence to use against it. In the temple of your life, not everyone receives the same entrance. Some people may stand at the outer gate, some may enter the courtyard, very few may enter the inner chamber. A wise person knows the difference. Over-explaining is often not communication. It is fear wearing the mask of honesty. Fear that they will leave, fear that they will judge, fear that your value will disappear if they do not understand. But your value is not created by their recognition. The mountain is not taller because someone measures it. The river is not more real because someone names it. The seed does not ask the crowd for permission before it breaks open in the dark soil. You are allowed to be misunderstood. You are allowed to walk away with your truth intact. You are allowed to let people believe what protects their ego. A weak mind says, I must convince them. A trained mind says, I must remain clear. The action is simple. When you feel the urge to explain for the third time, stop. Ask yourself, am I clarifying or am I begging to be seen? If you are clarifying, speak once with calm. If you are begging, return to your breath. Your dignity is more important than winning a place in someone else's limited understanding. Say less, stand straighter. Let your life become the answer. The third battle silent people win is the battle against emotional noise. Toxic conversations do not always begin with shouting. Sometimes they begin with a small sentence that carries poison, a little sarcasm, a fake question, a hidden accusation, a smile with a knife behind it. And suddenly your body changes, your chest tightens, your mind begins preparing arguments. You replay old memories. You feel the ancient wound opening. This is how emotional noise works. It does not need to defeat you with facts. It only needs to disturb your center. But a trained mind does not obey every emotion. This does not mean you do not feel. It means you do not kneel before every feeling. You can feel anger and still choose silence. You can feel hurt and still choose dignity. You can feel the storm and still remain the mountain. Pain may explain you, but it must not control your future. Maybe you became reactive because in the past no one listened unless you raised your voice. Maybe you became defensive because people blamed you for things you did not do. Maybe you became anxious because love once felt unpredictable. Maybe your silence was punished, your honesty was twisted, your kindness was used. That pain explains you, but it must not command you. The old wound may knock at the door. You do not have to open it. A warrior does not become free by pretending he was never hurt. He becomes free by refusing to let old pain hold the sword in present battles. When someone speaks to your wound, do not let your wound answer. Let your discipline answer. Sometimes discipline says one sentence. Sometimes discipline says no. Sometimes discipline says nothing at all. Silence is not an empty space. Silence is a sacred gate. Behind that gate, your energy gathers. Your breath becomes steady. Your thoughts become clear. Your standards return to the throne. The action is simple. Before entering a difficult conversation, decide your inner rule. Decide what you will not do. I will not shout. I will not insult. I will not defend my worth. I will not stay if disrespect continues. I will not trade my peace for temporary approval. When your rule is clear, the conversation cannot own you. The fourth battle, silent people win, is the battle of boundaries. Many kind people suffer because they confuse boundaries with cruelty. They think love means endless access. They think patience means accepting repeated disrespect. They think being spiritual means being available to everyone, all the time, no matter how they are treated. This is not compassion. This is self-abandonment. Boundaries are not walls built from hatred. Boundaries are sacred gates built from self-respect. A temple without a gate becomes a marketplace. Everyone enters. Everyone touches what is sacred. Everyone leaves their noise behind. Then you wonder why you cannot hear your own spirit anymore. Your life needs gates. Your mind needs gates. Your time needs gates. Your attention needs gates. Not because you are better than others, but because your energy has a purpose. You were not born to become a resting place for every confused person, every angry person, every manipulator, every critic, every person who wants the benefits of your kindness without the responsibility of respecting your humanity. Stop letting people call you selfish for protecting the life they keep draining. A weak mind says yes because it fears rejection. A trained mind says no because it respects direction. A weak mind opens the gate to prove it is loving. A trained mind keeps the gate because it understands what love requires. Boundaries do not need long speeches. Often the strongest boundary is clean, quiet, and consistent. I am not available for this conversation. I will not continue if you speak to me that way. I need time to think. No. No is a complete sentence when your spirit is tired of bleeding. But understand this. The first time you raise your standards, people who benefited from your lack of boundaries may call you cold. Let them. They are not describing your truth. They are grieving their access. When the river changes direction, the old stones complain, but the river keeps moving. The action is simple. Choose one boundary today, not 10. 1. Choose one place where you will no longer betray yourself to keep someone comfortable. Then hold it without anger. Hold it like a mountain holds its shape. Quiet, steady, unmoved. The fifth battle silent people win is the battle against approval hunger. There is a hidden hunger that drains many lives. It is not hunger for food. It is hunger for approval. You want them to see your goodness. You want them to admit you tried. You want them to understand your intentions. You want them to say, you were right, you were valuable, you were enough. But when you chase approval from people who cannot recognize value, you become a beggar at the door of a house that has no bread. Stop standing there. Some people cannot recognize your value because recognition would require them to change how they treated you. Some people cannot honor your growth because your growth exposes their stagnation. Some people cannot celebrate your peace because they only knew how to connect with you through chaos. Do not shrink your inner kingdom to fit inside their small vision. The sun does not ask the blind for permission to shine. The seed does not ask the stone to understand growth. The warrior does not ask the crowd to approve his training. He trains, he returns, he repeats. Real strength is quiet, repetitive, and invisible before it becomes visible. This is why many people never become strong. They want the result without the repetition. They want respect without standards. They want peace without discipline. They want transformation while still obeying every old emotion, every old fear, every old need to be liked. But your life changes when your decisions become cleaner, your words fewer, and your standards higher. Cleaner decisions, fewer words, higher standards. Remember this. Cleaner decisions mean you no longer choose from fear. You choose from clarity. You stop saying yes when your spirit says no. You stop staying where your energy is slowly dying. You stop feeding situations that only grow because you keep watering them with attention. Fewer words mean you no longer spill your energy into every disagreement. You speak when speech serves truth. You remain silent when silence protects peace. You do not use words as decoration for insecurity. Higher standards mean you stop accepting emotional crumbs and calling it connection. You stop confusing intensity with love. You stop mistaking familiarity for safety. You stop lowering your temple gate because someone knocks loudly. The action is simple. Before you seek approval, ask yourself, do I respect the way this person lives? Do I trust their judgment? Do they carry the kind of peace, discipline, honesty, and wisdom I am trying to build? If not, why are you giving them authority over your worth? The sixth battle silent people win is the battle of timing. Untrained people speak because they feel pressure. Trained people speak when the moment is right. There is a time to answer. There is a time to walk away. There is a time to correct. There is a time to let silence reveal what words would only cover. Many battles are won not by saying the perfect sentence, but by refusing to speak too early. When you speak from urgency, you often speak from fear. When you speak from fear, your words become scattered. You may say too much. You may reveal too much. You may hand your strategy to those who do not deserve your map. A warrior does not show every weapon. A river does not reveal every depth. A temple does not open every door. Sometimes silence gives people room to expose themselves. They reveal their intentions. They reveal their impatience. They reveal whether they wanted understanding or domination. They reveal whether they respect your stillness or only your compliance. Let them reveal. You do not need to rush to fill every silence. Silence makes false people uncomfortable because it gives them nothing to manipulate. Silence makes shallow people restless because they live on noise. Silence makes controlling people angry because they cannot command what they cannot provoke. This is why your silence is powerful, not because it punishes others, but because it returns power to you. When you stop reacting, you stop being predictable. When you stop explaining, you stop being drained. When you stop chasing approval, you stop being controlled. When you stop speaking from the wound, you begin speaking from the throne. The inner kingdom has a throne. Someone will sit there. If you do not train your mind, fear will sit there. Anger will sit there. Shame will sit there. Other people's opinions will sit there. Old pain will sit there. But when you become silent with discipline, you return to the throne. The action is simple. Practice delayed speech. When something triggers you, do not answer immediately, unless safety requires it. Say, I will think about this. Say, I will respond later. Say nothing if nothing needs to be said. Give your mind time to become clear before your mouth becomes active. Not every message needs an immediate reply. Not every accusation needs a defense. Not every invitation deserves attendance. Not every battle deserves your presence. The seventh battle silent people win is the battle of becoming. This is the deepest battle, because in the beginning, your silence may feel unnatural. It may feel like losing. It may feel like swallowing fire. You may want to explain. You may want to correct the story. You may want to prove that you were kind, that you were honest, that you were loyal, that you did not deserve what happened. But listen, the version of you that needs everyone to understand cannot lead the life you are trying to build. To become stronger, something must die. Not your tenderness, not your compassion, not your ability to love. What must die is the old addiction to being understood by everyone. What must die is the belief that peace comes after others change. What must die is the habit of handing your attention to every person who throws a stone at your path. You are not here to live as a reaction to other people's confusion. You are not here to become a mirror for their chaos. You are not here to spend your best years arguing with those who do not even know where they are going. You are here to become rooted. Like a tree, you must grow downward before you grow upward. The roots are hidden. No one claps for roots. No one praises the seed in darkness. No one sees the discipline that happens before the fruit appears. But without roots, the first storm will own you. So train in secret. Train your breath. Train your attention. Train your words. Train your choices. Train your standards. Return to your body when your mind runs into argument. Return to your breath when anger rises. Return to your discipline when the old wound asks to speak. Return to your boundary when guilt tries to open the gate. This is how silent people win. They win when they no longer need the last word. They win when they no longer explain their worth. They win when they do not allow one toxic conversation to poison the whole day. They win when they protect their attention, as if protecting a sacred flame. They win when their decisions become cleaner, their words fewer, and their standards higher. Not because life becomes easy, but because they stop becoming easy to control. There will still be storms. There will still be people who misunderstand you. There will still be voices that call your peace arrogance, your distance cruelty, your silence weakness, your boundaries selfishness. Let them speak. The mountain does not bow to weather. The river does not argue with stones. The fire does not apologize for being bright. The warrior does not leave training because the crowd is noisy. You must decide what kind of person you are becoming. Are you becoming someone who reacts to every small disrespect, or someone who protects the sacred direction of life? Are you becoming someone who begs to be understood, or someone who stands in truth even when misunderstood? Are you becoming someone who confuses noise with connection, or someone who can sit in silence without abandoning the self? Are you becoming someone who lets pain write the future, or someone who uses pain as compost for wisdom? The choice is made in small moments. One breath, one pause, one boundary, one clean decision, one refusal to explain yourself to those committed to twisting your words. One moment of silence instead of one more argument. Do not underestimate small discipline. A single drop seems weak, but over time it shapes stone. A single seed seems powerless, but in silence it becomes a forest. A single breath seems simple, but it can keep you from destroying what took years to build. Real strength is not loud at first. It is quiet. It is repetitive. It is invisible. Then one day, everyone sees the fruit and calls it sudden. But you will know. It was not sudden. It was the morning you did not answer the insult. It was the night you did not send the long message. It was the moment you chose not to chase someone who kept dishonoring you. It was the day you stopped turning your wounds into explanations for people who only wanted control. It was the breath before the reaction. It was the gate you finally closed. It was the silence that saved you. Now understand this clearly. Walking in silence does not mean you become cold. It means your warmth is no longer uncontrolled. It means your kindness has a spine. It means your love has wisdom. It means your compassion no longer requires self-betrayal. You can be peaceful and still have boundaries. You can be kind and still walk away. You can forgive and still refuse access. You can understand someone's pain and still not allow them to bleed on your life. This is maturity. This is discipline. This is self-respect. Stop fighting to be chosen by people who cannot see you. Stop trying to win arguments that only cost you peace. Stop giving your sacred attention to every passing storm. Stop carrying the burden of proving your heart to those who keep stepping on it. Return. Return to your breath. Return to your body. Return to your work. Return to your standards. Return to the person you are becoming when no one is watching. Your silence is not emptiness. It is training. Your distance is not hatred. It is protection. Your boundary is not cruelty. It is self-respect. Your calm is not weakness. It is mastery. And your life is not meant to be spent inside conversations that keep pulling you away from your inner kingdom. You do not need to become louder. You do not need to take revenge. You do not need to prove yourself to everyone. You do not need to stand in the center of every storm with your heart open and your spirit bleeding, hoping the wind will finally understand your softness. You only need to come back. Back to the breath that no one can take from you. Back to the attention that builds your life. Back to the discipline that steadies your mind. Back to the boundaries that guard your temple. Back to the quiet warrior inside you who has been waiting for you to stop begging the world for permission to be whole. Let your words become fewer. Let your decisions become cleaner. Let your standards become higher. Let your silence become sacred. And when the next battle comes, do not rush to speak. Stand like the mountain. Move like the river. Guard the sacred gate. Feed the roots. Protect the fire. Some battles are not won by the tongue. Some battles are won by the breath. Some battles are won by refusing to abandon yourself. And the day you no longer need to be loud to feel powerful, the world will feel the strength of your silence.